Are you at home? Are you in a hotel room? Where are you currently?
I'm currently in a hotel room, yeah, in Birmingham.
Oh, Birmingham. Where in Birmingham?
Yeah. Uh, I haven't got a clue. Middle of Birmingham. I don't really spend much time in Birmingham. In my life, to be honest.
I have,
I'm a
and
northern boy.
it's
Oh,
not the
okay.
best. I'm not a big fan of Birmingham. It's
The shows are
this.
good.
Yeah, I heard that. That's where like Furnace Fest and stuff is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So to be honest, yeah, we haven't spent a whole load of time in Birmingham. It's not really my neck of the woods, so I'm not entirely sure. But first show of like a little run that we're doing for the anniversary of Rain in July, like our
Yep.
first couple EPs is kicking off there tomorrow. So yeah, but they're a rowdy
Yeah.
bunch. They definitely have no qualms with kicking slash stabbing each other in the head.
Yeah, that's
Which is
Mm.
what you want at a punk rock show, you know?
Mm.
If someone doesn't get stabbed at my show, I'm not doing this anymore.
yeah. What's the
Yeah,
You fucking
I
pussies.
mean, maybe we just, yeah, I need to drag pop punk into the drill world and start beefing with everyone and yeah.
yeah, wow, it's about time. Someone's got to do it. Why
Look,
not
I'm
give it
sure
to the
I'm
front?
sure that you've met plenty of people along the way that you could have potentially beefed with if you weren't such a chill dude.
Yeah, I think pop punk's too soft for
I was gonna
actual
say,
beefs
I
anyway.
feel
I don't
like
think ain't nobody cool, so
yeah, everyone in that space is too lovey-dovey. I feel like pop punk's like it's all
yeah.
broish and friendly. No one's
Well,
gonna be angsty and
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
fighty.
upbeat, man.
Yeah.
It's happy music.
Yeah, I've been reading slash listening to a lot of this dude on YouTube called Trap Law Ross, and he really reminds me of my friend Pat. He looks exactly like him, and he's kind of similar in the sense that he's very, very, very white and very British, but he knows like everything about every gangster like rap person ever. So like I'm on a big like gang hype at the minute. So yeah, I don't know. They all seem to be I don't know. Like I said, I think pop punk's too lovey dovey. It's not controversial enough. Pop punk's
Mm.
always like tends to err on the side of caution anyway. So yeah, I like it that way anyway. I like not being stabbed. I like my
Yeah.
blood
That's like my
in my
whole
body.
identities are based around not being stabbed. I pride myself on being someone that's never been stabbed
Mm.
so far.
Well, I
So
feel
far,
like
so good.
Yeah, never stabbed. Yeah, stab free.
stab
New
free,
T-shirt right there.
stab free
Yeah.
since '83. Well, I feel like famously, pop punk was like a lot of it was about breakups and all that sort of stuff. So I feel like everyone in the pop punk community is like, nah, man, but all love here. We know what you've been through. We know you just got dumped. Like,
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm trying to. I mean, we still write the odd breakup song here and there. It's one of them where it's like, I don't know. Sometimes you just gotta do it. And sometimes people just want to hear that song, that kind of song where it's just like, I've been through a breakup, or I don't really want anything deeper than just like I'm a hurt little soul and I need to express this kind of
I need to
thing.
know I'm
So
not alone in
yeah,
that.
yeah, it's an easy, I say an easy fallback, but it's a good it's a good topic for a song. But I try and steer away from that now. I try and write
Songs
uh
about
about
aliens.
aliens. Yeah.
yeah, aliens. Yeah, which is way cooler if you ask me. So yeah. But again, that's been done. So yeah, just trying to write songs about whatever you feel like, really. While I can't rap about shooting my ops in the face, rappers aren't really talking about aliens. So it's a two-way street. It's there are
Where
things that we can do.
where do you stand on aliens? What's your thoughts?
Oh, full believer, mate. Yeah, I for one welcome our alien overlords. So nah, I'm fully onto it, man. Like me and I'd say in the band, me, Seb, and our drummer Powell's are like big believers. We're always like sending each other footage and shit, and like the latest updates on stuff, and like yeah, we're pretty nerdy. I grew up like being a big UFO nerd and stuff. I had older brother who was responsible for getting me and Seb into punk music and stuff. He was just huge. He was a bit of a conspiracy head, I'm not gonna lie, but he definitely put us onto aliens and stuff quite early. And like, I don't know, I've always just found it cool. Like, we always just had like a ton of books growing up as a kid, and like just like random like learning books, but some of them were like, oh, that one's about space and UFOs, and they were the ones that were always like the coolest to me. So yeah, I've always believed in it. I was definitely that kid when I was like in year 7, like 12-year-old kid that was like, by the way, aliens exist. I was like, have you ever heard of Dulce base? There's a base in the New Mexico mountains which has 7 layers to it, and the bottom layer is where they keep all these aliens. All these like 12-year-old kids just like,
I just want to go on the swings,
like
bro.
Powerpuff Girls. Yeah, literally.
Mum said I'm not allowed to play with you anymore.
Yeah, I was that kid for sure.
Had you written Take Me With You before the US government announced the aliens?
Yeah, straight up. Like, I think I still have the text. I sent it to Seb. I was just like, oh, just sending it as a note of like, we need to write a song about aliens called "Take Me With You," and that's kind of how that was born. But like, I don't know, it was in the air. It was in the air, but yeah, it was before the whole hearing and all that kind of stuff. So,
does that make you feel like justified in being like, fucking, I knew about this, I wrote about it, and now it's out there?
Yeah,
I've known since I was 12.
Well, yeah, I mean, we just don't like, because we were obviously getting ready to put the song out anyway, regardless. And then like alongside that, it was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna tell you about the aliens. Well, they kind of told us about the aliens,
Yeah.
not fully. It was. I think anyone who's had their finger on the pulse was quite disappointed a bit. But yeah, we were onto it, man. Yeah. After Tom DeLonge, we're the next biggest alien advocates within alternative music.
Yeah, he goes hard in the paint on it. I think the thing with aliens is like the thought of it and the romanticism behind it is the fact that like we've seen so many different iterations of aliens throughout like, media and movies and comics and stories and all that sort of stuff. And we've all grown up seeing like, all those articles about UFOs and aliens exist. But the thing is, it's the one that is probably the most likely to be legitimate, like when you talk about things like ghosts and all that sort of
way
stuff.
too big for us to be the only ones out there.
I mean, if you think out of all the space that's out there in space
and in your head
and in my head, there's a little bit in there, that we're the only thing, you're fucking cooked.
Yeah, for sure. Like, just on the sheer possibility scale of it, like it has to be possible.
It has to be.
It's stuff like, I don't know. Yeah, and it's stuff like, I don't know, things that for years, governments have denied or, have tried to play down and stuff. Like so many of these like whistleblower reports and shit are like kind of being proven right at this point. Like the most obvious one being a guy called Bob Lazar who like claimed back in the 80s that they had these UFOs and they were trying to reverse engineer like anti-gravity propulsion and stuff, and he was fully like ousted by the US government, like not even sure if they've attempted on his life and shit like that. But yeah, he's being proven right now, so and there's plenty of other stuff like that too. So
you want to have out there that weren't big names that had them like, I fucking told my friends this and no one believed me.
Yeah, but it's one of those as well, like just all of these like sci-fi concepts of like, oh, these anti-gravity thing and like, oh, they can travel through like space and stuff. Like, dude, the most recent UFO thing I saw was actually fucked and like actually pretty scary, and I don't know if you've seen the footage of it, but it's like 3 orbs circling a plane and they straight up just like the plane just disappears. Like you just see this commercial jet, which they think it's footage of, the missing flight MH.
Oh, the Malaysian one.
Malaysian Airlines flight. They were like, this could have happened to that, like, because it's just 3 orbs just spinning around this thing, and it just goes whoop, like on a fucking sci-fi movie. Like, whoop, we're gonna warp speed now, straight up, and it's fucking terrifying. And it's like, I hope to God this is fake, because this is terrifying. But a lot of people are like, yeah.
What do you think aliens?
You got me onto aliens, so I'm just.
No, I'm still on aliens. We can talk about that for
all right, cool.
What do you think they look like? Where do you stand like on that?
I think, again, from what I've read, they are little grey men. That is kind of what it is. They're little like, they're like little greys. That's kind of what I believe. Yeah, again, if you read whistleblower stuff and people who are claiming that the US has recovered all these bodies and stuff, like, they're little grey men with no nose, and apparently they stink of ammonia. They stink of piss.
That's like me after a big night.
They're terrified of crashing and they piss themselves. They're like, oh, it's weird. They smell like that.
Like, dude, we just crashed.
Oh, man.
What do you fucking expect, dicks?
Piss yourself like.
I was scared. Yeah, I think that it makes so much sense for them to be like humanoid in shape, purely because like you look at like an evolutionary standpoint of like all of the smartest, most adapted creatures on Earth all come from like a similar, like from apes, that humanoid shape. It would make sense that they have the ability to like control things with opposable thumbs and be standing upright.
Yeah.
So they have that sort of, I don't know. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like if the laws of the universe are kind of the same across the board, like, you know, if we do end up finding a bunch of alien species, you know, we'll probably find that most of them walk on two legs and have a head and nose, like, you know, little ways of breathing in the same kind of ways or whatever. But yeah, by all accounts, they are little grey men. And again, like when you talk about like the sci-fi world, like all this sort of stuff, like it seems like the most obvious and everything. It's a bit Occam's razor type vibe where it's just like, is it the most obvious thing that
hiding in
out
plain
of all
sight.
the universe that it's going to happen? Yeah, and I think they're little grey fellas personally. Yeah, I don't think they're like lizards or anything like that. I'm not on that hype, but yeah.
Do you think they listen to punk rock?
Hell fucking no. I think I think well, I hope so. Well, if you from my experience and Take Me With You, they do. But yeah, I think they want I think they apparently they one of the theories amongst people is that like they're incapable of like love and stuff. Like apparently they're like super intelligent, but they have very little regard for like life
Like
and
no
each other
empathy.
and stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, like no empathy. Like apparently they don't from what they've gathered in the way that they act and stuff. And mind you, this is from a fucking 4chan thread of a guy who's claiming to have cancer and that he's just whistleblowing shit. But a lot of people are like, this kind of adds up. But he was like, yeah, it's that they want to love, maybe they want to know how to love, or like maybe
Teach
they
me
just
how to
want
love.
like
That's a fucking
that's what I
pop
said.
punk song right there. Aliens learn to love.
That's the next song, dude.
Take Me With You too is it's going to be about that. That's my theory, is that because apparently they don't have genitals. I think we need to just give them dicks. We need to give them dicks and pussies, and we need to let them have sex, and then they'll realize like that's basic love.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, cool, there we go. That's all you needed. You just needed like a big old hog, and he's happy now.
That's
like
what's missing in the universe.
Yeah, it's a bunch of it's a bunch of dick shy aliens who really just
they've millions of light years just to learn how to bust a nut.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're jealous. They're jealous of what we're packing. They ain't afraid to destroy the planet to get it. So let's go. I get it.
Makes complete
This
sense.
is a fucking great movie.
Yeah, it's Independence Day too.
Yeah. Take Me to Your Leader. Just take him to Johnny Sins. I don't know who that guy is, but
I've seen the name on the internet.
Yeah, I've seen the name on the internet a lot. So yeah, he's the guy you want to talk to if you want to know how to love. He's the best lover in the whole world.
He's a porn star.
Oh,
yeah. Good.
No, so I've heard.
Yeah. Something. Like you said, I've read the name.
Is that another 4chan thing?
Yeah. Anyway,
I want to talk about pop punk, things we've got you on here, and I want to talk about. I'm enjoying the alien chat, but one of the things that Johnny and I were saying off the last song was the fact that you guys have stayed pretty strong in the world of pop punk, whereas a lot of your contemporaries are sort of like come and gone, and like their way of like growing and maturing in their sound has actually been diverting from where they sort of started from. Whereas I feel like the last two songs, Heartbreaking Century and this, you've actually delved back into much more of those like really true pop punk roots, which it seems to be fucking resounding well with the fans. Was that a conscious decision? Or was that just like, this is just what we want to actually write now?
A bit both. Like, we definitely wanted to write like a pop punk record again. Like, I think with ADAI, with the last record, we were kind of like, at that point where like we felt like we needed to do something different, and maybe had we have written another like straight up pop punk record last time round, it might have been like the opposite effect to what it's having now, where people are like, man, they're not
Sure.
doing enough, you know. So it just felt like kind of natural after the last record again. Just from our own standpoint of like what we want to write pop punk again, just because we're still, you know, we still enjoy that music, and we have a passion to write it again. But yeah, definitely a conscious decision too of just like nobody's doing like the classic pop punk sound like
Yeah.
Yeah, fully.
in a big way. You know what I mean? It's like you say, it's kind of evolved away from it, and bands have kind of settled on a sound that's maybe like, you know, just derivative of it, I guess, or you know, adjacent to it. But we were just like, nah, if there's space for like a real full on pop punk band, then like let's just take that space up, you know. And with pop punk being how, you know, it's sort of having these little ebbs and flows at the minute, you know, it kind of creeps into popular culture, and then sort of people forget about it again, and it creeps back in again, and so I don't know if we're just kind of like the constant amongst that of just like, okay, so when some like big pop artist decides they want to play pop punk band for 6 months, like if they pick up a load of fans, then hey, maybe the algorithm's going to shove them our way, and you know it'll just work out. And I don't know, we were
Things
known
to be
for
open with.
just being, yeah, being a generic pop punk band. So let's just lean into that and just have fun and not expect too much out of ourselves and just do what we're good at, really. So yeah,
I don't know if
definitely,
I'd
definitely.
define you as generic. I'd say you guys
Yeah.
were at the forefront of that sound, and this is not to blow smoke, but it actually was something that you guys did it consistently and in your own way. That it didn't sound like. What did we check out the other day? And I don't rip it. 408.
Thank you.
408 we checked out the other
Oh
day,
yeah.
and I liked it. I liked it, whatever their song they did was, but like this is a very, very clearly derivative Blink
Blink
182
182.
song.
Yeah.
They've taken this song, they've taken the formula and done it, and it sounded good, and I liked it because I love Blink. But I was like, it just sounds like that. Whereas you guys have your own sound within that space, so I don't think generic is the right way to describe yourself.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, you know, it's something that we've lent on maybe as like a thing of just, I don't know. It's an easy explanation, you know. It's just like it's just pop. It's straight up pop punk. But yeah, I do think we have our own sound, and you know,
I can see where you're coming from though, being heavily rooted in that world, why you would use the term generic, you know.
Yeah,
Whereas to other people it might not seem that way.
that's good. Yeah, that's good. If you if our music comes across as more sort of expansive and than it is, then that's chilling with me. Yeah, but I don't know. To us, it's one of those things where like I do get you. Like we do definitely have our own sound because like we even kind of battle with it sometimes when we're writing songs. Like
Sure.
you know, like if the songs were like more straight, like if they were generic pop punk, we'd probably have an easier time writing them. But because we are still trying to like we're sort of trying to incorporate elements of the sound from other EPs and stuff, and I think it shows and I think that shows it in like moments where
Yeah.
I think fans will have a lot of fun being like, oh, that sounds a bit like Rain in July, or like, oh, this song sounds a bit like a Lifetime to Get You song or whatever. And I think it's those little bits of just those little bits of a shift into like maybe a more melodic hardcore or like maybe like a more straight up punk like section,
Yeah.
then I think maybe that's what kind of defines it. But yeah, we do kind of try and shoehorn, or not shoehorn, a few things in there, but we like to challenge ourselves right in, and we like to, you know, we know our sort of what our bar is, and we know what's good and what's not, and so it's a case of, you know, not taking it too seriously and trying to have fun while writing, but also and trying to write pop punk songs which we've done before, but doing it in a way which just gives it that little lift away from it being
Same song on repeat.
you know, too derivative. Yeah, exactly. So
Well, you don't
yeah, you know,
you don't want to become a clone of yourselves, you know, especially when you've
yeah,
been around for so long.
yeah, we didn't want to write Lifestyle to Get You 2.0, you know, people I'm sure people would be very happy with that. But we're not the same people as we were when you know, we wrote that album, and life is different and the world's different, and I don't know. It would just seem like a bit cop out to just like write the same like super posy album again. Like, yeah, there's definitely positive messages. There's still always going to be like a positive message to songs that we write. But like, you know, it's not going to be like this self-help kind of album. I think it's, you know, if people are expecting that, then just listen to Life's Not Out to Get You.
Well, I mean, like,
Um,
you know, life's
yeah,
not,
so
every
it
day
is
is not
different.
positive,
There's
and every
elements
day is
of
not
it, but
negative.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you know, I look back on that time of Life's Not Out to Get You, and I don't think we were naive or I was being naive. I don't think I was. I think it was just a pure product of like what was happening in my life. You know, it was a very positive time. But like, I look back on it now and I'm like, some of it's a little naive, like maybe a little bit. You know, maybe a little bit like overly positive just for the sake of it. But in a way, I guess that's what kind of worked about it. But
Yeah,
we're
that
in
can
no
be a
rush to just
refreshing
like
thing sometimes.
lean on that. Yeah, we're in no rush to like lean on that too hard. You know, maybe if we just take the spirit of what makes it neck deep and the fact that it's fast and fun and you know energetic and there's a general positive message there, or at least the songs are always going to be about something. You know, I think that's another thing as well is like our songs have always meant something. They've always told a story. They've always had some kind of message behind them, and whether that message is positive, negative, you know, happy, sad, whatever it may be, I think that's kind of what makes it neck deep. Is if you can take something away from it, or if you can sort of connect to it and relate to it in any way. Because
Yeah.
not every pop punk band's super relatable, you know. So yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know why people like us or why people liked us in the first place, but they did, and I think we've got something that we can like bottle a little bit and whatever. I think that's like the crucial part of like being in a successful band. You know, you go back to I don't know grunge in the '90s or whatever, and like so many of those bands were amazing, but so many of them were very similar or just like didn't really have like a thing that they could like bottle, you know.
The
But
thing was
then
they didn't
along
use
comes like
vowels.
Nirvana and Alice in Chains. Didn't use vowels.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a Family Guy thing. Isn't it? You could sing a whole song without actually using
Fucking Eddie, fucking
Yeah.
Vedder. Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. I love Eddie Vedder, but yeah. It's my girlfriend got super into Pearl Jam. And I like Pearl Jam, but she got super into fucking Pearl Jam one summer. And I kind of can't do it anymore. And so
A
they got
little
to a
Pearl
point
Jam
where
goes
I
a
was
long
like,
way.
there was only so much fucking that I could handle. Yeah, it was a lack of vowels, and I don't know, but so Pearl Jam and like Nirvana and Alice in Chains and shit, they all had something that just set them apart from
Yeah.
the rest of the rest of the thing, and it was like something that you could bottle that they had to bottle, but you couldn't quite put your finger on. You know, I think with Nirvana, it was Kurt's mysticism and his like weird worldview and everything, and I think that kind of was similar for Alice in Chains, but Alice in Chains were like this. They had a much darker sound,
Yeah.
much riffier. And then like yeah, Pearl Jam were kind of like your they were a bit more like your every guy. They were like
Americana.
a bit broy. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
like your every guy, you know. But they did that better than other grunge bands. Other grunge bands didn't have that like relatable, like, hey, he's like the every guy thing. You know, most other grunge bands were like, we're all fucking smack addicts and we fucking hate you. Whereas Pearl Jam was like, yeah, you know, they seemed a little bit more accessible. So I
We're
think it's the
just
same
like
with
you.
I know that
on a
song.
phone.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I've always said that.
But it is, you know, every band has to they have to have something. Otherwise, you know, maybe they've got a few good songs, but there's nothing for people to like latch onto, kind of thing. And
That's kind of the same
for
with every
whatever
genre.
reason,
And I think that's the difference
yeah,
between a band and a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at those bands that like write one really good song and you're like, that's fucking great. But then they don't have anything else as a consistent band to make them stand out from the genre. So I might be like, I might get hate for this one, but Goo Goo Dolls. People know them because of 3 songs.
Yeah.
They have a whole back catalogue, but I don't think they were consistent enough in anything to make them stand out in that genre. Like they're big because they had 3 songs get massive.
Yeah.
Whereas in like that, I look at them as like a 90s rock band that people would be like, no one else knows all their other stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Counting Crows as well. Like,
yep,
they
Big one.
like so many of they have like so many amazing songs, but it was like their 2 big songs, like Mr. Jones, and then they had that one that was on Shrek or whatever as well, and it was like,
yep,
they're the 2 like most non-representative songs of that
yeah,
band, and
exactly.
unfortunately from there, because like, I don't know, there was like, that was like a weird time in music too, where you had like, it was like Counting Crows, and then like, yeah, bands like the Goo Goo Dolls, and like, I guess like alt country and stuff was like a thing at the time, and
Yeah,
it was
you had
just
bands
sort of
like
like,
Feeder and like the 90s
yeah,
rock was
yeah.
a weird
Hootie and the
space.
Blowfish.
Yeah, Hootie and the
There's
Blowfish
a
fit
big
right
one.
in there.
God, yeah, Ween and shit like that too. It was like,
Yeah,
but I feel like, you know, like you say, you know, they had those 2 big songs, and they have like a cult following, but I don't know, there was something that they couldn't quite bottle it. The same thing with this. There's this awesome band from the '90s called Jellyfish, who were like set to be fucking enormous. They were like, they were kind of like they were like kind of heavily like Queen inspired rock, in the '90s, and they were set to be enormous. Like, they thought this album Spilt Milk was going to be like huge. They were going to be the next big thing, and it just did nothing. And I think it's kind of because like, outside of the music, there was nothing really for people to latch onto. It
sure.
was just like, you're doing the '70s thing. Like, everybody is, you know, Freddie Mercury was still alive at that point. It's like, well, if we want Queen, then we can
Just go to
listen to
Queen.
Queen, and there's
Yeah,
not really much that we can latch onto here. And I don't know what that is for Neck Deep, but it's there. Like, there's something there that we can't really quite quantify. And you know, it's similar with Blink and Green Day and stuff like that. Music wasn't necessarily like groundbreaking stuff. It was just that they had something that other people didn't, and that you
Yeah.
could,
yeah. I
so
think for
yeah,
you
I mean,
guys, you're like lyrically, I would say that's where people and a lot of people would resonate with you guys is you've written lyrics that mean a lot of things to a lot of people. That would be the
yeah.
thing that for you guys, I would associate it being like, okay, that's what people like resonate there is that there's songs there that mean a heap of things.
Blink-182 did that as well. Yeah, my girlfriend takes me home when I'm too drunk to drive.
There's something about you, I just can't put my finger in. Classic lyrics.
That is honestly, yeah. When Mark came out with that and Built This Pool, I was like,
Yeah,
if we just had an album of 30-second
I'd be so
fucking
okay with it.
joke songs, yeah, let's go.
Someone asked me on
But
Instagram
yeah.
today if I was a Blink-182 song, what would I be? And I said Bohemian Rhapsody, and I put that song, and no one commented on it. I was like, what the fuck? That's funny as shit.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody is fucking an amazing song. That, like, I wish the whole album was like that. There was a couple, I think it was Built This Pool and Bohemian Rhapsody, and it's literally like, these are the 2 best songs on this fucking record, and they're 10 seconds long.
They joke songs. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd maybe agree with you on the lyric side of things. I think, I do think that's maybe what's got people in. And I think maybe, yeah, the message, just the fact that it's not all just like, it's I broke up with a girl. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe you broke up with a girl, maybe you went through some other shit, but like, it will be okay. And I feel you. You know, I think people feel a very personal connection to our music because, you know, I would assume that people have been through some rough times and they put it on, and I think it's just a case of like, someone, not even someone saying, hey, it's gonna be okay. It's just somebody there that's saying like, I've been there.
Yeah, I
Like,
know what you're
you're
going through.
fine. Like, yeah, exactly. And just like it, you know, having someone that can relate to it. You know, it's like when you have an issue that you're like freaking out about and you don't tell anyone, and you finally talk about it and tell someone about it, and they're like, oh, same. Like, don't worry about it. You know,
Yeah.
it's okay to feel like that. I think it's just an element of that, really. I think it's people who aren't really talking about their problems, so don't know if it's okay to feel that way. And then, I think that's
Well,
music in general,
yeah,
or at least
exactly.
a lot of music that's like geared that way. It's basically telling people like, hey, it's okay to feel that way. And
Yeah, music is that
that's
for
it.
a lot of people.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's a powerful sentiment. It can be a real light bulb moment for some people. I definitely experienced that. Like, I'd say fucking City and Color, Dallas Green, like one of my biggest influences. Man, like his songs are so unbelievably depressing. All about death and breakup and everything. But when I was 16, 17, going through a breakup, going through just some like, some rough adolescent shit, just like, I don't know. It was like, oh my God, this guy
Gets me.
is saying how I feel. This is like the music sounds how I feel. And
Yeah.
as much as it was depressing and quite sad, and it did get to a point where I was like, okay, I probably need to stop listening to City and Color so much now and like actually start to cheer up a bit. But I've definitely been there too, and like I still firmly look back at those times and think, of City and Color, and like about how much it helped me and how much I just poured my heart into those songs. And yeah, I think that's maybe had a big probably a big part of why Neck Deep is just from me just wallowing to City and Color for a year. I was
There's
like,
a really cool quote that I'm going to mangle here, but it's essentially says, when you're sad, you hear the lyrics. When you're happy, you hear the music. And maybe that's the thing with Neck Deep, is that like the lyrics mean something to people when they're going through something that's really hard. But then when they're in a good mood, because it's pop punk and fun and upbeat, they can still get down with it, even though it might be a sad thing. You might have accidentally just fucking crushed the algorithm and nailed that thing right there.
Yeah, I think that's I think you've nailed it. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's
Should I do
definitely
this for a
something that
job?
we
Yeah.
maybe. Um, this is something that we talk about there. It's what we call it, like happy sad, or like we've tried to find like I guess the closest word to it I could find would be like ambivalent, and like we've talked about it before. Like, oh, this is a happy sad song. Like when we're writing a song that's super upbeat but it's got sad lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that mix definitely works for people because, like you said, maybe the lyrics when they're it's like the perfect chameleon song. It's like,
Yeah,
if you're
100%.
sad, well, the lyrics are real sad, but if you're feeling pretty good, then it's just a good song to like kind of have on and jam out to. So,
I reckon that's a big thing with
I think
Sleep
that's
Token too.
You reckon?
Just as I looked at your shirt, yeah, I reckon that's a big thing with them, because they're like lyrically, their stuff is not necessarily as dark as it sounds, and so I think it's like an opposite thing. I think it has that like heaviness and moodiness and like, but then some of the lyrics are actually quite upbeat and positive and moving, and maybe that's like a correlation thing there as well.
Yeah, it also doesn't hurt when you have a voice like that.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
yeah, they're insane at the minute. I mean, they sold out Wembley in the UK in like
I saw that.
Yeah, that's
20
incredible.
minutes.
20 minutes, something like that, which is like
Yeah.
just testament to and as well, it's like, they're still an alternative band, but they haven't broken the mainstream out here, but like they have gathered such a massive cult following already. And
Yeah, it's cool.
when you've got that voice, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, again, they've got something that you can bottle. They've got something about them that you can go like, yeah, they fucking got it. He's got a great voice. They have like incredible visuals surrounding their stuff, and maybe and lyrically, like you said, maybe it is one of those things. It sounds way darker than it is, so the message is one that's easy to sort of to absorb, but the music, makes you want to fucking go down to the pits of hell. And
yeah, sometimes it makes you want to hug your partner, sometimes it makes you want to kick holes in the walls. But I think it's interesting with a band like that have done something to sell out Wembley is no small feat, and to do that without any sort of mainstream backing, it's kind of like you wonder if they're going to be the sort of band that, and I guess like Slipknot did it to an extent, that gets to such heights that they kind of make so many other people pay attention and take a little bit notice of this alternative scene or this metal scene or this punk scene, because there's mainstream bands that aren't selling out Wembley. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
there's maybe they're a key to this sort of music, any guitar driven music reaching an entirely new audience.
For sure. I think there's maybe like there's a couple things. I think like within alternative music, like the entire spectrum, everything from like a like a like a City and Color all the way to like a Slipknot. Like there's always room for like at least one or two massive bands from that genre, and massive beyond massive, like you say, Slipknot. Like in the world of popular music, you would have never thought that, there's a place that a band like Slipknot could exist, but they do. And, popular culture and alternative makes space for Slipknot to be the massive fucking metal band that wears masks, and even your mum kind of knows a bit about Slipknot. And it's like, could Sleep Token kind of be that for the new alternative world? Is it this next acceptance of like, okay, this is like the one or two massive bands from here you're gonna get, whereas in like rap, hip hop, pop, or whatever, there's a new superstar every 6 months.
I can't keep up.
With alternative music, it seems like once every couple of years, if that, there's like a band that steps into that space. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we've done it with pop punk to an extent. But it's weird. It's a tough one. Pop punk's kind of always lingering around it.
The bands that are big, like
tough.
you said before, your Green Days and your Blink, they've been the big ones for 20 years.
But I feel like pop punk has also recently, it's had a couple of things that have given it that, like you said earlier, how it ebbs and flows. Like there's been a few really big moments in pop punk that have given it that upward trajectory to keep it always doing this on that line. And it was, a few years ago, it was MGK coming in, blowing up the scene and showing a whole new generation of people pop punk. And now he's sort of tapered off a bit and gone back to do his rap thing. But then lo and behold, Blink 182 get back together and up we go again. And it's a kind of cool thing to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And again, if we can be there for the ride, if we can be there to, with MGK, it was a weird one, because it was like, all right, this guy's not really done anything for the alternative scene. He's kind of coming in and like literally just saying he's the king of this shit. And it's like, you're kind of more of a celebrity, really. And that was annoying, but at the same time, I was like, okay, this is also kind of cool, because like, if he's opening people's like eyes to pop punk, and especially like maybe like younger fans, or even just like fans that, I don't know, just your normal Joe normal, like whatever, if he can expose them to pop punk, then it works for us. It's the same with Youngblood. Like, there was elements of pop punk to his stuff, and he blew up on like a mainstream way. And there was elements of that where we're like, come on, we've been doing this for 10 years, and we've written so many big songs and whatever. But it was then just like, well, if he's gonna, as
you said, there's room for everyone.
Exactly, and he took us out on tour with him, and like I definitely think we've would have made an impression on some like on some probably some younger fans too, because like I was that kid once. I was like 8 years old, and I went to see fucking Busted. I think Busted maybe did bits in Australia. They were massive in the UK, obviously. But like I was like obviously into Blink and stuff at the time, and Sum 41 and Green Day and Newfound Glory. I loved all those bands, but Busted, to me, I wasn't looking at Busted and going, man, they're pop stars. So I was just like, oh, cool. This is like a British band that sounds like the music that I already like. So you have to look at it from that perspective of just like, it doesn't matter how you get into music, and for all the singing and dancing and fucking just fuckery that people like MGK and that put out there, I think ultimately they're shining a light on the genre, and ultimately that works for us. Yeah, for sure. Like, we can sit here and have a whinge and say, man, they're not proper pop punk bands or whatever. But like, A, what the fuck even is a proper pop punk band, and B, like, whatever, we'll still be here when because we would even have fans coming up to us and being like, "What do you think of this?" Like trying to get some like juicy gossip out of us, and it's just like it's fine. It's like, yeah, sure, I can see why people feel a certain way about it, but at the same time, like, fucking who cares? Like you said, there's fucking room for everyone. And yeah, as long as like they give something back, which I think Youngblood's kind of trying to. I feel like Youngblood, like I
We talked
know
about this the
wants
other day.
to.
He's doing the cheap tickets and stuff like that. I think that's a cool thing for the space. I think MGK did in
Yeah,
a very arrogant way, but I think just the awareness because he, as you said, he was just a bona fide celebrity. His
yeah,
presence and showing like light onto guitar-driven music as a dude that came from the rap space, I think it sent reverberations out and people came and found
yeah,
it's like Bring Me the Horizon. They're obviously a fucking huge band,
yeah,
but him doing a song with them makes him even more accepted because it's like, oh, cool, that's a celebrity that realizes this. I think it
yeah.
does
I
kind
think
of carry on.
for sure. I think maybe there's a way of like, I think like because you could even argue to an extent like Post Malone even has like elements of at least alternative music in his shit, not necessarily like pop punk necessarily, but like big alternative vibe in his music. And I think if it was him that was pushing it, people would be like, "Ah, this is actually really cool," because he's just like a nice guy. I think it was just
Yeah,
MGK, so people were just like, "Wow, he's fucking easy to hate on," and like, yeah, I've been
agreed.
there for sure. I've had my I've had shot my shot and everything, which is 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 what it is, but
He'll be back in 5 years with another pop punk album. You watch.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you probably will. And that's fine. But take us on
So
tour.
that's what I was about to. That's
Don't
my
call
next
yourself
question.
don't call yourself the king of pop punk.
Yeah.
What
Because
what
you're
would be an
not.
artist that you'd want to go on tour with that's sort of outside of your space? So you guys sit heavily in pop punk space. What would be an artist you would love to tour with that's outside of that space for you?
Oh God, I don't know. I'd love to tour with like 100 Gex. 100 Gex, I
Oh
think are
yeah,
fucking sick. I
I think
love 100 Gex, man. I think they're awesome. Again, when we're talking about having something
yeah,
that you can
unique and weird.
bottle
Yeah,
and that you can't put your finger on it, it's just they've got it. 100 Gex would be fucking sick. I would love that, and I actually think that'd be a great crossover tour. I think
hell
that'd
yeah,
be
I'd go and see
a
that.
yeah, there'd be a lot of energy there. 100 Gex would be a good one. Hmm. I don't know. Like, I think there's a band at the minute that. Oh shit! I almost said too much then. But we're going to be doing some stuff with in the future. Drain,
Oh
Drain
yeah,
are another great one. Like they're
yeah.
absolutely popping off at the minute again because they have something cool about them. They're hardcore, like
That's a happy
hardcore slash
hardcore band
thrash.
right there.
Yeah, slash like thrash. Yeah, like thrash kind of. It's like it sounds to me. It sounds like almost kind of like posy power trip.
Yeah,
Almost not
Yeah,
quite as
yeah.
thrashy, but like
Yeah.
his vocals are very similar to Riley's, and like it's got that thrashy element to it. So, but Drain are a great one, and they're one that with them being more like hardcore slash like hardcore adjacent kind of crossover.
yeah.
That'd be a sick one. I think. I think. Well, we have played shows with them already, and yeah, that was great. One Step Closer, another band that we're all super into at the minute. Anxious, another cool one. Again, like just slightly outside of pop punk, but I think we're trying to do more lineups where like it is a little bit more varied, or there's a little crossover.
We seem to be
Just
seeing
because the
more and more of
pool of
that.
yeah, the pool of pop punk bands is just like slowly dwindling as well, and
Yeah.
we fucking toured with so many of them.
Yeah.
That it's just like we don't want to end up just repeating the same tours. Sorry, I'm watching the Women's World Cup here, and there's literally been 3 screamers in about 3 minutes. Sorry, that was insane. Anyway,
That's okay.
What's
just
the
in the corner of
score?
my eye.
What's the score at the moment?
2-1 Spain, but all the goals have come in the last like 10 seconds, like not 10 seconds, but the last like minute and a half. So I've just been like, what the fuck? Anyway,
Well, lucky we're not doing this chat tomorrow, otherwise we wouldn't be getting along.
Yeah, Johnny
I
was.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
it's England, right? England, Australia.
Yeah.
What's your call there? Who do you reckon's gonna win? Honestly.
The whole World Cup. Honestly, Oz have been absolutely smashing it, but England have been good too. I've got to say England, but Sam Kerr for you guys is, yeah, she's the best. She's the best.
Isn't Sweden the one that everyone's
best
like,
female
Sweden's
player.
probably going to win?
Sweden, yeah, they're a bit of a dark horse, but
Sweden are doing well at the minute. Well, they're oh no, Sweden are losing here now. They're just losing, so could be out. But in terms of tours, sorry, I fucking totally derailed that.
That's okay.
ADHD as fuck. I'm just like, oh, talk all.
We're okay with that. It's fine.
But in terms of like bands I want to tour, like I honestly think we toured with so many of the pop punk bands. The Story So Far would be a fucking great one there, like the only pop punk band that we haven't really toured, or like, you know, only sort of one bigger pop punk band that people want to see. But
I'm so surprised that hasn't happened.
Mate, we've sent them the offer. They said no. So ask her if you get. Yeah, if you get a chance to chat to one of them guys.
Well, they also said no to us.
Yeah.
So I think.
Yeah, I think that might just be their vibe. But yeah, I don't think they like many people, but that's fine. That's their vibe. They're a good band. I love their new song, so yeah, go check it out on it. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the only like pop punk one that people are like desperate to see. But I think going forward, our aim's going to be like, whenever we pick lineups, it's like we could always go with somebody like a Real Friends or a State Champs or Knuckle Puck or something like that. I still think there's room for those kind of tours because they just pair up so well. And you know,
it makes sense.
Those kind of bands, I'd say like those 4 bands, like Neck Deep, State Champs, Real Friends, Knuckle Puck, probably Story So Far as well. I think they're like, and probably Wonder Years as well, are the ones that are like, I feel like are still like doing well 10 years later, even though Wonder Years has been around, you know, a lot longer kind of thing. So I think people will always be happy to see those kind of tours. But yeah, we're definitely at least trying to chuck on at least one kind of hardcore or crossover. Or
I feel like you guys would do well with someone like 4 Year Strong. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, probably. I think it's one of those though where it's like with stuff like that sometimes, because like older bands in a way, like we've tried to tour with Newfound Glory before. Like we're stoked on Newfound are stoked on us, but then when it comes down to like, all right, how are we billing this and how's everyone getting paid, because they're like been around for so much longer and like they don't want to take fucking shitty support slots or anything like that. They're like, well,
yeah.
But then it's like, but that's weird because we're probably bigger than you now, which is fucking weird.
Especially in the UK.
Because I love Newfound Glory. Yeah, Newfound Glory are literally one of my favorite bands of all time. And for me to now be able to say, like, my band is kind of bigger than yours, is definitely in the UK, like, is fucking weird. But that's been why it's been weird to like get tours booked for it and stuff. So it's weird. Like, I don't know if 4 Year would be like, well, we've been around for forever and we don't want to take any shit. Whatever, so I don't know.
That's why you need to do it in Australia. You need to do it in like an Oz tour where everyone's away from home, and then it's all the playing field is a bit more level.
Yeah.
I mean, co-headline tour.
Yeah, 4 Year would be a banging one. I mean, it probably could be worth putting the feelers out there. I know that, you know, we've done Warped Tour with 4 Year a couple times, and it's always been great to hang out with. Very good dudes, and you know, I'm sure we'll be down. That's a good idea. That's a good seed planted. So yeah, we'll go.
Must be hard though, it's also scheduling and things like that as well. You know, like there's tours, there's festival runs, there's album scheduling time. You know, promotion scheduling time. It's not like you can just go, oh, we get along with this band. We'd be great in a build together. Let's just do it this date. Oh, we can't do it that day. Well, fuck.
Yeah. It gets so complicated, man. Like trying to, and especially when it's like trying to pick like openers and like middle. I don't know, actually, to be fair, sometimes the openers and the middles can be easier because you just go like, who's a popping band? We don't have to worry too much because they're just, they want the opportunity, you know, but then when you've got to try and make it happen with, you know, other bands who are like of a similar size or whatever. Like, and another thing as well, a lot of reasons, you know, we've done this in the past too, and we're seeing it now is, you know, we're shooting out offers to bands that we like, but they're like, well, we could just do a headliner, you know what I mean? Like we could do a headliner. Like it might not be a little smaller than what you guys are doing, but we'll probably make more money doing that. It's tough, man. Really tough. Like It's the shit that people don't see when you announce when you announce a tour and you announce all the dates and the bands and stuff, and then you get people going, man, why aren't you playing My Front Garden? Man, why isn't this band on it? It's like, because it's fucking near impossible to get everything everywhere perfect all the time. Like,
are you guys finding it
it's
hard,
so
like
tough.
venues booking out ahead of time as well? I know that's the thing in Oz at the moment. Like all the good venues are kind of just booked out for the next 6 months. Like you guys are out here obviously like 3-4 weeks. But that also seemed like it was announced with a fairly short lead up time to the shows.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised by that too. But yeah, I think the UK and the US is like recovering a bit more now, just because we've been out of COVID for a little while. But it definitely was a thing, and it definitely was smaller venues too, because we're doing these like anniversary shows right now, and they're all like No Barrier, and the headache around getting that, like, well, that's the thing, we've had to add a few more shows because people were fucking fuming that there was only 3-4 days in the UK, so we've added a bunch more. But the reason there was so few dates is because like there are so little venues that are down to take the risk on No Barrier, and like fans would just assume like, well, you just tell them No Barrier and it's fine and everything, you should just be able to do it. Why can't the pub in my village is No Barrier, why can't you play there? It's like it's not as simple as just like as that shit. Like you said, venue holds are like pretty backlogged since COVID, or you've got to get in way ahead of time before all stuff. So when we announced that stuff, like, it took us fucking ages to get those shows booked, and people don't really see it. Like, the amount of calls we had where it's like, what's happening with these anniversary shows? Just like, promoters ghosting you, mate. Promoters not answering, mate. He's done one. It's like, fucking hell. And then people are like, you didn't do a hometown show, you sellouts. It's like, we fucking tried, but the promoter was a fucking cowboy and ghosted us, So it's like,
cowboy. That's a great term to call someone.
yeah, there's plenty of them. There's plenty of cowboys in the music industry, I'll tell you that. Like, but it is, man. Like, it's way tougher and way more like work and way more sort of like variables and logistics that go into this shit that people don't really get. And it's the same for all bands, especially if we're deciding to do a support tour or anything like that. It's like, well, it's got to be worth it, It's got to be. It's tough, but for you, definitely on the list. And outside of pop punk, 100 gex. 100 gex. We'll go for that.
Cool. I'd like to see that one happen. So as we said, you're out here in a few weeks. What can we expect? Because you guys have quite a back catalogue now. What can we expect like a set list wise? Are we getting a whole spectrum? Are you just leaning towards what gets like all the hits?
Pretty much, like, we know what works and what doesn't. And I think because we haven't been over in so long, it's probably best to just give like a hit. Like, let's do the hits. Just because, we want people to come and hear their favorite songs, and then hopefully next time we come back, it won't be so long, and we can maybe throw in a few more deep cuts or like maybe more of a specific album or something like that. But I think this one's going to be like a pretty rounded set, really. I think it's going to be.
Was Download the last time they were out? Or have they been?
Yeah, it's a while back.
Download Festival? Was that the last time?
Yeah.
Holy fuck! That is a while.
I think it was. We last out with. Was it with Champs? Might have been State Champs. No, it wasn't State Champs. It was for Download. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
that was like, I think it was like 5 years, 6 years ago.
2018. Yeah, 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the pandemic fucked it up, but I don't know why it took us so long to get back out to Oz. I think pandemic just lasted a bit longer for you guys out there, and because we've like been to Asia since and stuff, and it was just difficult. I'm stoked though, truly, like, no cap, like one of my actual favorite places to be in the world. Like, I've always said, it reminds me of like if British people were happy and everything was beautiful. Like, that's just just how it is, man. Yeah, because like I love going to America because it's so big and it's beautiful. There's all this stuff to see and like blah blah blah. But America's fucking crazy, man. Like I certain parts of America like feel unsafe and feel on edge.
100%.
I've heard that.
And yeah, and as well, just like people in the US, like they're lovely for the most part, but like to a fucking Brit who is just like, do not talk to me. Like, whose worst worst nightmare is the thought of somebody in the line for McDonald's talking to them about their tattoos. Like, please
And you're gonna
stop.
get that everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god! And then as soon as they hear you talk, with like, "Where do you get all them tattoos?" and you're just like, "Oh, all over the place, man. Y'all ain't from around here, huh?" It's like, "Oh, fuck, here we go." And it's just weird. But in Oz, like, and when we're in America, like, you can drop a joke and it'll just go over people's heads.
Oh
They're
yeah,
just like,
yeah. We have the same.
Like, they
sense of
don't get
humor.
the they don't get the sarcasm. They don't get like the wit and the dry humor and like just the self-deprecation and all that sort of stuff. They're weird, but in Oz, like it's like fucking tennis. Like, you'll throw something out there and they'll just come straight back with the next thing. Like, yeah. And so I've always felt quite at home in Oz, to be honest. I've always felt as though I could communicate with people quite easily and wouldn't have to, like un-British myself a bit.
Dumb it down.
Yeah, we want more British.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. Honestly, America, you literally have to be like, you have to say trash. I can't say the bin. I can't say the car park. It's stuff like that. If you say the bin, they're like, the what? It's like, oh god. Well, most people, but I'm talking middle America, just like random interactions with NPCs. Like,
yeah.
The people that they don't believe other countries exist.
Yeah. Honestly, there's so many things that we talk in the channel, and the people were like, our American like people who watch be like, that blew my mind that you guys didn't know about this thing. And we're just like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, it's just like a complete different world.
It's wild, man.
Especially now that the internet is a thing.
And it's been around for a while.
Yeah,
this internet.
A hot minute.
Yeah, a little bit. It's quite good.
I
think it's going to be really but yeah, it is mad, man. Like, it truly is. It feels a little unsafe in places in America. I truly love, like I'm not even just saying this shit either, because they'll be like, I love the spirit of like America, where you're standing and you're looking at like the city sort of as the sun's going down and like the lights thingy, and then you have like beautiful mountains and like fucking just how vast and big it is, and like the spirit of like freedom and that sort of stuff. Like, obviously when it's get to it's just like reasonable, respectable things of freedom, of just like, hey, freedom doesn't mean we have to shoot everybody in the head, but that element of like freedom,
American
how
dream,
vast and big it is. It's amazing. It's fucking beautiful. And like the people, when you get into it, and like some of my best friends, are Americans, but then also some of the craziest fucking interactions I've had with people by a long shot have been in America. And
I think it's also because there's just so many more people. Like, obviously, you guys have a lot more in the UK than we do over here, but the US is just like another thing altogether. Whereas you're bound to get way more crazy because there's way more
people. Yeah.
And it's just like, again, that spirit of freedom has allowed people, all right, you want to be a little fucking crazy, then you can be a little bit crazy. But yeah, I don't know, it's I've definitely noticed it change over the last like 10 years, like from the first time that we ever went out there to like what it's like now. It's definitely different, and it's a little weird. It can be a little weird.
What's the craziest interaction you've had?
Oh my god, there's been so fucking many. I mean, lots of like 0 to 60 like lots of hammers, actually. There's been a couple of hammer interactions where like dudes have just Uber driver just randomly one time like, hey, do you know what I do to people that cut me up in traffic? He's like, just show them this. Just pulled out a fucking enormous hammer and was like, told us about how he fucking battered some dude over the head of it. Like, right, okay, we're definitely in your car. Had that again in New York, about 5 feet away from me. A dude pulls a fucking hammer out on a guy smoking a cig for absolutely no reason, and just like has him pressed up against this wall. Like, I'm going to fucking murder you if you don't give me a toke of your cig. Like, okay.
Wow. Scary as
Jesus,
fuck.
that's next level.
Yeah, we've had some pretty gnarly shit go down. I mean, we got robbed at gunpoint in Argentina. That was pretty gnarly. Just like street robbery, just like
Yeah, that's terrifying.
give us all your shit. Yeah, that was pretty gnarly. But not America. Yeah, I don't know, man. It all sort of just blends into one. Really, we've not had anything too scary. We had a big fight with security one time in the UK. That was pretty gnarly.
Like a big
Like,
fight.
yeah, like a big fight. Yeah, it got really bad. And that venue was run by Hell's Angels too. And we were shitting ourselves like, oh fuck, we're gonna get done in by Hell's Angels. Like fully patched up on the doors, like they're loading and shit. But the Hell's Angels were like, we don't give a fuck. They're like, we just run the venue. And we're like, we don't give a fuck about the security. Like we have to hire them. They're like, whatever. They didn't care.
The Hells Angels are really cool guys. They're really nice.
They were actually dead chill. Yeah, they were really chilling. They just like they run the venue and they help you load in. And to them, that must have just been like a little fucking cat fight.
Yeah,
Just like yeah, they didn't give a shit. But yeah, that was pretty bad.
Fuck no.
Yeah,
Stories.
Yeah,
Stories from
we'll
the
do
road.
it one day. We'll do it one day. Like we've always said we'd make a documentary. And we've got so much footage, and it's always like, oh, we'll make a documentary about this tour or like this album or like this little thing, and it just always gets put off. So
And
I don't know,
the
maybe in
footage.
another 10 years. Yeah, in another 10 years, maybe we'll have like even more footage, and we'll go, right, should we just do like the full comprehensive history of that shit? So maybe we'll come across all this shit at some point, but yeah, God, it has been a while.
People eat that shit up, man. Yeah, people love that shit. Fans love that shit. That's why we find that, you know, our viewers are really starting to love these chats, because it's one thing to sit there and learn about an artist through their music, but it's totally different to hear stories and, you know, thoughts and what they love or what they've been up to. It's a different sort of connection that you give people.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I'm not going to write a song about getting a gun pointed at me, but you know, I'll sit here and talk about it. Or like, you know, it is. It allows you to tell different stories, and there's so much that people don't see, and there's so much that, like, you know, that because we're not the most. This is probably to a fault as well, especially on my front. Like, we're not the most like. We don't really share that much. Like, we're not like fucking TikToks out and like filming everything and like showing people what goes down. But like, so I think when people hear us talking about it, it's like the first time they actually get any insight into it. And like,
yeah, sure,
we don't put too much out there just because like, I don't think we get. I mean, I personally don't get a shitload of satisfaction off like social media. Really, like to me, it was just like a game. And like when the band got big, and it was like, oh, you've got like a couple 100,000 followers, and then it was like, oh. This feels no different to having 10 followers. So I'm over the game now. The game is no longer fun. It is what it is, you know. But that might be to a detriment, because like I'm sure people would have loved to have like seen or heard about this shit. You know, if I was a different type of person, I could have whipped my phone straight out after getting robbed and been like, oh my God. But I don't know. It's just not us, you know.
And now all they've got is seven. They've just got 7 minutes of you talking about aliens now.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, maybe I should just start sharing a bit more on social media, then I won't have to take up your time with my bullshit theories about aliens needing our
we're all
fucking cocks
for it.
to love.
Anytime you want to come and ramble about Alien Dick, we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you know where to come.
We'll get to do it in person in a few weeks as well. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
We can go
hang in Sydney.
We'll do a classic. We'll do a classic Tom DeLonge. And what he used to do was he used to take like crew members and like other members of the band like alien hunting with him. And
I heard
all
that.
Just be like, yeah, like I think one of the stories is like, I don't know if it was one of the band, but it was like somebody that Tom had said, "Oh, I'll take you out. We'll go looking for UFOs." And apparently it was just a shit show. It was just like they were just driving around all night, didn't see fucking jack shit, and then it ended up just Tom getting very, very, very stoned and talking about aliens, and it just being like typical shit, really. But yeah, I hope I get to go and get stoned with Tom on an alien trip one day, though. Tom, if you're listening, take me with you.
Too. Yeah, 100. That song was dedicated to Tom.
In a way, it was honestly. In a way, it kind of was an homage to Aliens Exist. You know,
Mm.
it was. Yeah, if we can do our own version of that,
We got that
fuck it,
vibe.
why not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're so excited to have you come out here very shortly, man. We won't hold up too much more of your time. You've got some football to watch right now. But
it's just finished. Spain 2-1. So it's either
Oh.
it'll be Spain versus Oz or England in the final. But because I'm talking to you guys, I'll say Oz because I'm nice. Because
you are nice like that.
and because I'm technically Welsh anyway, so
Oh,
you can get away with it.
yeah. But thanks very much for your time, guys. Been a good chat.
Of course, man. We
Been
look
nice
forward to
to
seeing
just
you in a
sit in my
couple of
hotel
weeks.
room and talk about aliens and music. Yeah, appreciate it.
All the best kind of chats.
You Sydney, yeah, you're gonna be at
We'll see you
Sydney.
in Sydney.
yep.
Fuck yeah. Awesome.
We'll see you there.
Yeah, cheers
Legend.
guys. Been a good time.
All right,
Thanks,
brother.
dude.
Nice
Cheers,
one.
Appreciate it.
Peace. Cheers.